Hey folks, Brendan here from Bluelight. Now, I know for a lot of you that you really worry about interviews, whether it's the interview in the online assessment centre or it's the interview as part of the final interview or the in-force interview, sometimes called a senior interview. A lot of you get really worried about it. When in fact, all you're doing is following a structured approach to tell the interviewer or to tell the software, in the case of the online assessment centre, something about your life. An experience in your life which demonstrates the competencies, behaviours and values that they are looking for. And so I advocate this structure here behind me, the SALCU structure as opposed to STAR, because I know I've mapped it out against the competency and values framework. I know it just ticks boxes left, right and centre, and for thousands of you this has worked far better than the STAR structure. But once you start practicing, this is when you really start learning. So what I'm going to do in this video is share some of the learning from you from a session that I ran last night with course 27 of 2020. These are people who are preparing for the Police Online Assessment Centre. As part of that, they're going to get asked 5 questions by some software and they're going to have to upload a 5-minute answer to those questions. Now, elsewhere, I've already given you a guide, a free guide on how to, on the actual questions that I have predicted that you're going to get asked. They're not definitely the questions, they're my predictions. I put it together before anyone did stage 2 of the online assessment centre. And what most people tell me is that they're pretty much on the money, So pin your ears back, folks. Here's some learning from a session that we did last night. Outstanding learning. This applies to so many of you. So let me just share this with you. And it's with permission of the group that I was working with, by the way. So they've given me permission to share this. So first person that came forward to practice, I'm not going to use the names, I'm just going to call him this one W. Let's call him W. So he chose the difficult decision question. Can you tell me about a time when you've had to make a difficult decision where you've had to account for that decision to others? Now, everything was there. All the ingredients were there. All the structure was there. Following this, it was like chapter by chapter by chapter. It was almost perfect in every way, except for two things I want to cover with you. The really, really important things. The first thing is the use of the word we. Now, I marked it down here. Oh my goodness, it must have been like 15 times W said we, and only once did he say I. So if this was a final interview, I probably would have stopped W a minute or two into it and said, look, you keep using the phrase we. I want to know what you did. So could you focus on what you did as part of the team? However, when it's the online assessment centre, there's no one there. There's no one there to give you that kind of feedback. So it's really important that you get this right, because if you just keep saying we all the way through, then the person who's assessing your answer doesn't know whether it was you that did the things that you're claiming have happened or someone else in the team. So remember, there is no we, there's only I. And no surprises, W came from a background that was very, very team focused. So they couldn't do anything at all without the involvement of the whole team. Something else that came out of that learning was that it sounded very rehearsed. Now, I know many of you have failed at the final interview for sounding rehearsed. I've seen your feedback. So being rehearsed and ticking all the boxes for the online assessment centre, yeah, I think you can get away with that. Final interview, no, people have been failed for it. Now, I always talk about the hard workers in the rehearsal. The hard workers in the rehearsal, so that on the day of your performance, you sound prepared. There's a difference between sounding rehearsed and prepared. So I want you to sound prepared, not rehearsed. But then again, this was only the 6th time that W had actually practiced this answer, so it was okay. It was okay to sound rehearsed, but he knows he's got work to do. He knows he's got work to do that. So I hope that's useful for you. Moving on next to, we'll just call him D. All right, we'll just call him D. And D had a question which was around, can you tell me about a time when you've taken ownership for a problem? Can you tell me about a time when you've taken responsibility for solving a problem? So problem solving type question. Now, what D did is he gave an example of what I call a Gucci job. A Gucci job. Now, Gucci jobs are the ones that where the next day you're getting tea and medals with the chief superintendent. The one where you caught the latest, someone who'd been wanted for 5 years, or An example I used once was a hard stop by a firearms team that I coordinated and brought in as an acting inspector for my inspectors board. And I thought it was an outstanding answer, but it got the lowest marks on any of my answers in the whole of the board. And the reason was because I was just doing my job, and it didn't require much in the way of interaction with other people. So what they're looking for is how you interacted with other people in terms of problem solving. So how you persuaded other people to get involved, how you dealt with the people who didn't get involved when you should have, how you delegated to others, how you had some reciprocity. Reciprocity, is that even a word? How there's some give and take. How there's some give and take between you and other members of the team, or how you got other people involved. All the people stuff is what they're looking for there, not the Gucci stuff. So my firearms incident, poorest answer I gave, and I thought it was one of the best. This one last night, it involved the prison sector. It involved someone who'd barricaded himself into a cell. I mean, I could just imagine it. It sounded awesome. Another example that's been given in the past was a paratrooper, a corporal in a paratrooper regiment, who gave an example of when they came under attack in Afghanistan and what he did to rescue a VIP, to make sure a VIP didn't get killed. Awesome stuff. I mean, goodness, this is the stuff films are made out of. But it wouldn't have enabled him to tick the boxes that they're looking for in the competency of taking ownership. So the question around taking ownership. So hopefully that one is useful for you too. There's two more coming up. S had a question about integrity. So can you tell me about a time when you've done the right thing even when doing nothing would have been easier? So it's a value-based one. Two things that came out of this one. Lots and lots of talk about the technological side of what he does, and the individual who didn't do what they were meant to have done. I felt like I was almost on the production line. So much detail about the tech and the procedures and the policies and what this individual did to breach the policies. It was like 4/5 of the answer. When it came to actually challenging the behaviour and doing the right thing, even though doing nothing would have been easier, it was about 10 seconds worth. And that's what they're looking for. And so I did an exercise called the 7 levels of how. So it started off with, you said that the other person was angry and annoyed. How were they angry and annoyed? Well, they just got angrier and angrier. I'm just reading off my notes now. Yeah, but okay, so they got angrier and angrier. How exactly did they get angrier and angrier? Well, they got stroppy and they weren't very cooperative. All right. How exactly did they get stroppy and not cooperative? Well, she was answering back all the time. What exactly was she saying to answer back? How is she answering back? Well, she was really vocal and saying how she's got better things to do. Yeah, but how exactly did she say all of those things? Well, she told me to F off, actually, and haven't you got better things to do? So it was around 7 or 8 levels of how, and it's the detail they're looking for. So then we had to go into well, how did you react back to that, and how did you feel during that? And we built all of that up so that was the bulk of the answer, and all of the tech bit, I've written it here, tech. I've also put in the margins, I've no idea what he's talking about. So I'm sorry, yes, at that point I really didn't know what you were talking about when you were talking about all the tech stuff, but such good learning there that we've actually focused on, the people side of things, All right, so what else we got? Last one, folks. P. P was talking about service, providing the best possible service, a time when she's provided the best possible service. And the example that she's got is awesome, except that her first chapter was far too long. So just the situation part took 2 minutes and 40 seconds until she actually started talking about her aim and her actions. At 4 minutes 40, let's just see here, 4 minutes 40, she started talking about her actions. And then at 5 minutes, cut off. So the bulk of where the marks are, in terms of the actions you took, she missed out on. And she did say after, and straight away, I didn't even have the opportunity to say, how do you feel that went? Straight away, it was like, I just talk too much, I provide too much detail, I just don't get on with things. I've really got to push things ahead. So her notes were massive, massive notes. So the way forwards that we came up with for P was to use post-it notes. All right, so here's an idea for you. One post-it note for the situation, one post-it note for the aim, one post-it note for your options, 2 or 3 post-it notes for your actions, one for the results, one for the learning, one for your knowledge and understanding. And then put them all in a row. Little post-it notes to stop you putting too much detail in, because what she wanted to do was tell the whole story, the whole history, far too much, and you just don't have time for it. You've got 5 minutes on the online assessment centre. Even if it's the final interview, at probably around 2 minutes 20 seconds, I would have been pushing her on, saying, I'm going to interrupt you for a moment. I don't need that kind of detail. I'd like you to get to the point where you actually started to take action, please. But because it's an online assessment centre, that's not possible. Because there's no one there, remember, there's no one there. So I think the big message that came out of this is the feedback actually I had, because I posted something on a Facebook group. And if you're not part of that Facebook group, by the way, check the link below. The Facebook group has now turned over 14,000 people. Can you believe that? Over 14,000 people. 14,000 members, all helping to support each other. Actually, I say all, Facebook tells me about 12,500 are regularly active. That's still awesome, don't you think? It's incredible. They all posted how valuable it was to have that opportunity to practice. And at this moment in time, actually in about half an hour, they are all going to meet up and start practicing with each other without me. They don't need me now. They're just going to start practicing with each other, which is just, again, awesome stuff, awesome stuff. All right, folks, well, listen, I hope you found that useful. Facebook group is the place to be to pick up on all of these hints and tips. Link below. Join that group. It's the only Facebook group out there, full stop, that is dedicated to police recruitment anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world. There is no other group like it. I've searched. There isn't a group like it. So join it, do it now. And if you're already part of the group, thank you for making it so awesome. And I'll catch up with you next time. Bye-bye for now.